counting for votes for the President of India has begun. It is 11 a.m. So 30 plus ballot boxes from states, union territories and the parliament will be counted. It will begin with the MPs who have cast their vote. That box will be opened first. An NDA pick, Draupadi Murmu, is all set to win with over 60% votes. So it is about the percentage of votes that will be polled by the first tribal president of India, that is Draupadi Murmu. And will she be bettering the tally of what was polled by her predecessor and the current president, Ram Nath Kovind? That is only, we'll have to wait and see. But the counting of 30 plus ballot boxes have begun in the Parliament House. We are looking at room number 63 on the first floor of the Parliament House, where the counting has just begun. So perhaps the first set of numbers will start coming in the next 45 minutes. And around 2:30, 3 p.m., the clarity would emerge of the overall percentage of votes that has been polled by Draupadi Murmu. It is going to be a straight win for her, perhaps winning with over 60%, could go up to 65 to 70 as well. Pallavi Ghosh continues to be with us, so the counting has begun, Pallavi.
Yes. So what has been happening over the last few days, I would say, is that all the boxes from all the state legislatures, they have been flown in with special security. They've been kept in that the room, and the strong room as they call it, and of course in tight security, and now they're all being opened one by one. So they're all through ballot papers. That's the kind of voting which has taken place. It's going to be a lengthy process because we know the number of MLAs or the state legislatures, the strength of the assemblies, so on and so forth. So what we are being told by Election Commission is that you can expect an official announcement only by late evening, which will be around 4 o'clock or little after that. We've been discussing this, Maria. The issue I don't think is, and safely we can say so, is about whether Draupadi Murmu is going to win. Really, hands down, it's likely to be a victory because it's not just the entire strength of the NDA, but it's also many of the other political parties, and some of them are surprising entrants, like the Shiv Sena for that matter, JMM of course, because each one of them has their own political compulsion. So the numbers are stacked heavily in her favor, which is why also, as you've been reporting, the BJP plans a kind of a victory march later this evening once the results are out officially. But having said that, cross-voting is something which we really need to keep an eye out for. Has there been a substantial amount of cross-voting by other political parties? See, in private, many of the Congress leaders were worried about the fact that when they go back to face the electorate, say in Jharkhand, say in Chhattisgarh, which has a substantial tribal population, how will they explain the fact that they did not vote for Draupadi Murmu, a tribal leader? So there could be a little bit of a cross-voting, which would be, I think, a very, very interesting takeaway.
So, Pallavi, state-wise, we'll know as to what is the percentage that has been polled by Draupadi Murmu. So, perhaps when we get to the state of Jharkhand, we'll know what is the percentage. We'll know about the JMM, which has voted in her favor because they came out openly. As far as the Congress MLA numbers are concerned, that will show in the overall percentage.
That's right. And, you know, when you start looking at the state kind of percentage of votes polled in favor of Draupadi Murmu, it's going to be a giveaway. And I would also keep an eye on other states. Gujarat, for example, yes. Substantial tribal population. Remember, the last time round, the Congress party did very well in the tribal areas. And that's the reason why the BJP, ahead of the Gujarat elections, is actually focusing on the tribal areas. Will there be a break as far as the Congress party is concerned? Now, another important thing also, Maria, is that in many states you find dissidents within the Congress ranks. Whether you say it in Karnataka, whether you say in Gujarat. Over here, there's no such question of following a kind of a whip. So, will that dissidence or division within the Congress party, and anger or bitterness of some of the Congress leaders against the central leadership, will that get reflected in the final results and a vote percentage? That would also be a side story and an important one of that.
Yes, and it's 11:05 and the counting for the next president has begun. In fact, it's happening in Parliament of India. It's a historic day for the country. India is set to get its first tribal president, the first president to be born after independence, and the first president from the state of Orissa. Draupadi Murmu's life, as we have been discussing, has been a life of multiple firsts, multiple milestones, multiple struggles. She was also the first girl from the Santhal community to leave her village, leave her district, and travel a long distance for her studies. So it's been a life which is a fairy tale, a story which must be told repeatedly, a life of inspiration, and India is set to get the first tribal president and also the second woman president in some time from now. The question is, what is the percentage of votes that will be polled by Draupadi Murmu? 60% plus is what the average estimate suggests, because it's also a vote of conscience, as there has been appeal from multiple sides, because can you really afford to be on the wrong side of history? We'll know about all that because the ballot boxes have started being opened because it's being counted in the Parliament of India. Let me go straight to Rupashri Nanda, who's joining me from Rairangpur in Odisha. That is the hometown of Draupadi Murmu. Rupashri, the celebrations have begun already. The laddus being made. The question is, who all are there from her family right now in her home? And the humble beginning is something that we'll have to state again and again. It comes from a life full of struggle, a life which is an inspiration truly.
Well, Maria, her beginnings were humble, and even now, after decades of spending life in politics, even now she maintains a very humble lifestyle, and that is something that has endeared her to people over here. Now, I am in Rairangpur, and I've just noticed that members of her family, like her brother over here, he does not have any airs about him. In fact, he just walked across the road to get something from a grocery shop, and on a day when counting has just begun, and his sister is about to become the president of the country. If my camera person Gunit can show you, BJP is making the most of it. You can see posters being put up of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Draupadi Murmu over here on the road, essentially, thanking essentially welcoming Murmu's emergence as the next president of the country and a tribal president of the country. You can see another Draupadi Murmu and Narendra Modi picture over there, and they've already declared Vijay Divas, Vijay Utsav. It is a festival of victory. The posters over here in Rairangpur have already declared that Draupadi Murmu is the winner. And yesterday, for instance, throughout the night, we heard loudspeakers blaring out this message to the people of Rairangpur that it is just a matter of formality. Before Draupadi Murmu is declared as the president, she is becoming the president of the country. She is a daughter of your soil, so please come out and celebrate her victory in large numbers. And today, essentially, not just in Rairangpur, which is a town, here we are expecting numbers to come post 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, but in in villages across this area, 30 kilometers from here, in her own native villages, both the village where she was born and the village that she was married into, massive celebrations have been planned. Imagine a Santhal girl crossing milestone after milestone, breaking barriers, surmounting hurdles, and then going on to become the president. One more thing I wanted to underline, Maria, is that if you look at her life, the one thread that runs throughout her life is this desire to give to society, to give to people. And it has started even before she joined politics, because she said that she, once her children were grown up, she had time on her hands and she wanted to do something for the people. And she started teaching at the local Aurobindo school over here, and she did not take any money for that. And even in terms of giving away, she has given away land, she has given away house, she has built a school for the education of tribal people. When she was in the governor of Jharkhand, she made it a point to go visit each and every school that was there, especially the schools that are meant for girls, and ensure that the schools run properly. So at each and every household in Bhubaneswar.
And Rupashri, what is this music that is running behind you?
Well, there is a song that the local singer has prepared in the tribute of Draupadi Murmu, basically singing the song of how she has gone from Rairangpur to Raisina Hills, and how she has been an MLA before, how she has been a school teacher before,